So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. So guys, Bob Arum, as we know, he promotes Tyson Fury. And Bob Arum has come out with some controversial comments. He basically said that he doesn't believe that Anthony Joshua is an elite fighter. He doesn't believe Anthony Joshua is an elite heavyweight. And every time he thinks of Anthony Joshua, he sees him being knocked out by a non-puncher in Andy Ruiz. Bob Arum has made these comments in the past. It's fair to say Bob Arum's not a big fan of Anthony Joshua. However, I must say that he promotes a rival of Anthony Joshua in Tyson Fury. And if Bob Arum was promoting Anthony Joshua, would he be saying, or would he have the same stance? I'm not so sure. I don't agree with Bob Arum here. I know a lot of people seem to think that I hate on Anthony Joshua. I don't. A lot of people seem to think that I don't like Anthony Joshua. That's not true. I don't. I actually think Anthony Joshua has got one of the best resumes and he's very underappreciated. It's just that there's certain styles and there's certain matchups that I don't think he wins. And I've been consistent that I think Fury beats him. I think Wilder, I would favour. And I think Usyk is a dangerous fight for Joshua as well. But some people feel that I'm a hater because I mention those things, and they make me out like, oh, you're a hater because you think, just because I think that he could lose those fights. Some people make you out like you're a hater because they expect you to say Joshua's going to win. And that's when you love somebody. See, here's the thing. Because I'm a neutral and I say what I feel, I get called a hater on certain fights like Joshua, even though that's not the case. Now, let me give you my take about what Bob Arum comments, which I don't agree with because I do believe Anthony Joshua is an elite heavyweight. And I do think that it's harsh just to look at him at that one fight because heavyweight boxing is a dangerous game. Heavyweight boxing, you get caught with one punch and you're all over the place. You could be knocked out cold. And yes, that was a very humiliating defeat from him. And we had seen signs prior to that Anthony Joshua was vulnerable. We saw him hurt against White. Povetkin looked a bit shaky early on. Klitschko put him down and he was very shaky in that fight. But nevertheless, with all the vulnerability that Joshua may have on a stamina or, the way his body stiffens up after taking a good shot, wherever you think about Joshua, you've got to respect the resume. And I've said this about Khan over the years, that no matter what you think about his chin, you've got to respect his resume. The resume is stacked. And Joshua's resume is heading in the same direction where it's stacked. And if he was to beat Alexander Usyk, he's beaten a lot of the top 10 guys. And you have to respect that. Now, do I think the heavyweight division is great? No. Because I think there's a couple of very good fighters. And then the rest are average to above average. I don't really rate the heavyweights of today that highly. However, that's why none of them are spoken about in the top 10 pound for pound. I know a lot of people seem to think that, just because heavyweights don't get put in the top 10. Yeah, they do. Lennox Lewis and all the Mike Tyson, all of these guys in their primes were in the top 10 pound for pound. So heavyweights do it. It's just that there's no heavyweights. Muhammad Ali was in the top, 10 pound for pound. There isn't. I think the reason why there's a lot of the heavyweights aren't in the top 10 pound for pound because the fighters at the smaller weight class are better. Look, there's guys in the top 5 pound for pound like Errol Spence, for example, who's only fought at one weight class. And there's many others, like look at Josh Taylor, who's only fought in one weight class. There's other guys, but Joshua, for example, he holds 3 of the belts, but nobody really gives him a look in the top 10 pound for pound. It's because people don't rate him as highly as they rate some of the fighters in the lower weight classes. But having said all of that, I think Joshua is very disrespected. I think he deserves a lot more credit for his resume. I think his resume is stellar, His resume is very good. Very, very good. And I just don't know. Again, Bob Arum saying that because Bob Arum is saying that, oh, well, he got knocked out to a non-puncher in Andy Ruiz. But Ruiz is a big dude, man. Ruiz is a big guy, and if he hits anyone, they're going to know about it. And Ruiz had fast hands. So Joshua was badly hurt with that left hook on the temple. And he wasn't able to recover after that. And then Ruiz had the perfect style to take advantage of Joshua being hurt because he had fast hands. Like Klitschko, for example, when Klitschko had Joshua hurt, Klitschko, he's a lot more cautious and he doesn't have fast hands. He throws single shots, whereas Ruiz throws punches in bunches. And that made it difficult for Joshua to recover because every time Joshua wanted to trade with Ruiz, Ruiz would throw 3 or 4 punches and Joshua would be all over the place. He just couldn't get his equilibrium back. So I think Ruiz just capitalized when Joshua was hurt. But in the rematch, Joshua came back and boxed a very good fight and beat Ruiz. So I think there's a lot of people, just because of the way Joshua lost that fight, and it was quite a humiliating loss, people give him a lot of stick for that. But nevertheless, it's irrelevant. Ruiz is a good fighter, and Joshua's beaten a lot of top fighters. I do feel that Joshua's still got to. I think Usyk is a step in the right direction, and then a Fury and Wilder fight need to happen. And I think this is going to be very key because for me, these are the 3 guys that potentially could be a problem for Joshua: Usyk, Fury, and Wilder. So if he beats those 3, or even beats 2 of them, you have to state that his resume, out of all the other heavyweights today, is you can't compare. Joshua's got an unbelievable resume. When you look at Fury, who's he really fought? Klitschko and Wilder. But Joshua fought Klitschko as well. And then Joshua's fought a whole heap of other guys as well. Whereas Wilder and Fury, they haven't really got a resume at all. And then when you think about it, Usyk, he's just come. So I think you can't really criticize him because Usyk in his 3rd fight at heavyweight is fighting Joshua. So you got to give him respect and you got to give him credit for that. And Usyk doesn't seem like the guy to me that is going to be afraid of a challenge. He's going to want to challenge himself. I won't be surprised if he was to beat Joshua, he'd probably go for a Fury or the winner of the Wilder Fury fight, because that's the kind of fighter Usyk strives me as. The first thing he said after he beat Derek Chisora, that I don't just want to be a world champion at heavyweight, I want to be an undisputed champion. This is a very driven guy in Usyk. Usyk is very, very driven. He wants to create history. He's not going to be like Fury and Wilder messing around. He's going to want the big fights. Which may, as we know, with Fury and Wilder, it's not always easy to negotiate, but Usyk's not here to mess around. Usyk wants to be the best. And if he does lose to AJ, I don't know what Usyk might do. Usyk might retire, who knows? Because if Usyk feels that I can't beat the best, then maybe he may feel that's me done. I've been undisputed cruiserweight champion. The chances of me fighting any, Fury or Wilder is unlikely. I don't know what Usyk does if he loses. If he wins, then I'm pretty sure he's going to go for the winner of Fury Wilder. I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to want. Because Usyk, he's driven by legacy, history. He wants to create history. And I think Joshua's the same. I think Usyk and Joshua are kind of in the same category. They just want to fight the best. They want to create history. Whereas I don't know whether Fury and Wilder is as driven as those two. Or their resumes certainly aren't on the same wavelength. If you look at Usyk's resume is unbelievable. He fought Michael Hunter, Mario Bradis at cruiserweight. He fought that Gassiev, Tony. Like his resume, at cruiserweight, of course, is unbelievable. Usyk's resume is stellar. And now he's fought. Then he fought Tim Weatherspoon and then Chisora. And now he's fighting Joshua. Imagine if he was to beat Joshua, then he's probably going to rematch Joshua. The guy's resume, and remember, Usyk's only had like 19 fights. He was undisputed in like 17. And now he's fighting for the unified heavyweight championship of the world in his 19th fight after becoming an undisputed. Like, the guy's a phenomenal fighter. Usyk is phenomenal. And you've got to give credit for him for daring to be great and taking on these challenges. He wants to be the best. And if Usyk was to beat Joshua, oh my God, he's creating some legacy. He's creating some legacy because there's not many cruiserweights can come up to heavyweight and beat a stellar champion in his prime like that. Because, like I said, the size difference from at cruiser to heavy is massive. And Joshua isn't your any old fighter. Joshua's an Olympic gold medalist and a very, very stellar fighter. So this is going to be a great fight. I can't wait for Usyk Joshua. But in terms of Joshua not being an elite heavyweight, I don't agree with that. I think Joshua's, without question, an elite heavyweight. Whether you think he's an elite fighter, that's up for debate. Because obviously, for me, as you guys know, my elite fighter category is a very, very high category, and it's not easy to be in that category. Like, for me, the kind of fighters that go in there are like Floyd, Canelo, Andre Ward, you know, guys like that. And of today, the current fighters, you probably put Canelo, maybe Crawford in there, Spence possibly, Inoue, you know, Inoue's, you know, definitely in there. But yeah, it's not a very, very easy category to get into. And I don't know, just by saying the names that I've just said, I don't think Joshua's as good as those guys. But in terms of a heavyweight, without question, he's the best, if not one of the, definitely, you know, if you think Fury's the best, then he's definitely the second best, you know, and he holds more belts. So you probably can make an argument that he's the #1 heavyweight. Now, he did lose, and then he did come back from that defeat and you know, win the rematch. But again, it's interesting. I definitely don't agree with Bob Arum in terms of him not being an elite heavyweight just because you got knocked out. Anyone can be knocked out. Lennox Lewis got knocked out. What are we going to say? Lennox Lewis was an elite heavyweight? Lennox Lewis wasn't just an elite heavyweight. He was an elite fighter as well. He's a legend, man. Lennox Lewis was different class. But this is what I'm trying to say, that I think Joshua could still achieve a lot. If he goes on to beat Usyk and then beats Fury or Wilder, then you're looking at an all-time great heavyweight. You're looking at a guy that would definitely be considered an elite fighter, and he'd definitely go down as an all-time great heavyweight without question, because he would have cleaned up the whole division. So Joshua's not that far away from being a great. If he was to beat Fury or the winner of Fury Wilder and beat Usyk, I'm sorry to say, that's the #1 guy. You know, but it can easily go pear-shaped to him, because if you lose to Usyk, then all of a sudden he's going to be... I felt like that loss to Ruiz, Joshua's become underrated as a result. And if he was to lose to Usyk again, then his credibility is going to go down even further, which is unfair. And I said this, I'll tell you why this is unfair, because Joshua's taking on the toughest challenges. He's taking on the best, back-to-back. And I feel like when you're taking on tough challenges like Joshua's back-to-back, you may lose a couple of fights throughout your career. When you're fighting stiff competition like that, like Joshua is, it's very difficult to stay undefeated, man. Especially when you have flaws like Joshua does. Joshua has flaws in his game. You know, so it's hard to stay undefeated when you're taking on the best like Joshua does. Fury hasn't consistently taken on the best like Joshua. How many top 10 guys has Fury fought? What, Wilder and Klitschko? That's it, really. So this is what I mean. I think Joshua's resume is unbelievable, because Joshua's fought Povetkin, who was at the time a top 10. He fought Dillian White. He fought Klitschko. You know, he fought Parker. You know, he's fought Brazil. I know Brazil, I don't really rate him. Dillian White, it's another one. You know, so this is a guy that Pulev, you know, this is a guy that's fought a lot of top guys. And he's just missing. And now add Ruiz. Let's add Ruiz to that, because Ruiz is a top 10 heavyweight in most people's eyes. And now let's add Usyk to that if he was to win. You know, that's looking like a really stellar resume. All you would say that he needs is the winner of Fury Wilder. If he gets that and wins that, then you say he's literally cleaned up the heavyweight division. So I think Joshua's got a resume that needs to be respected, and he needs to get more credit than what he does. But unfortunately, I don't feel like he gets the credit he deserves. So I'm going to give him credit where it's due, because I feel like Joshua deserves a lot more respect for his resume. That's just my take. I love to know your opinion, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.